Welcome to this episode of the Sneaky Principal Podcast. And in this very, very brief episode, I want to touch on something that often school leaders in general, drop the ball on. One of the things that I learned a long time ago, and this came probably from military school, from working in corporate America, even my time in the military, this whole notion of chain of command. And it's something that I use often in my school. I use the term chain of command. Some people might say a table of organization, where you have the principals, assistant principals, your school counselors, your deans, your teacher leaders. There's the hierarchy of an organization. Then above the principal would be at the district level, you have the superintendent, deputy superintendent, and then above them, there are other people as well, the chiefs, all the way up to your like here in New York City, your chancellor, or wherever you may be, your superintendent for that city or that locale. And the one thing about that chain of command, that hierarchical structure, is that it's important as a leader that you are utilizing it appropriately, especially when there is a crisis, something is happening that requires that everyone involved are aware. Often what happens is there's, depending where you are, there might be multiple things happening, multiple priorities, things that honestly, not that folks are trying to ignore or not engaged in, it's just that they're juggling multiple things. And one of the things that I learned early on is that when you just tell somebody something and say, hey, this is happening, and you're waiting for a response, and you're not doing the follow-up steps like sending an email, text message, you're not documenting things. And you're just assuming because I told this person who's above me, or I told this person whose job it is, that it's taken care of. And we forget about the human aspect of what we do. Like we will forget. We will deem something as not a priority compared to something else because that other thing at that moment in time feels or is, more crucial. Not to say that the other thing that needs to be addressed isn't, it's just that that's what happens. Item A takes all your attention, so when item B comes, or C or D, you're doing triage in your head, and often what happens, the one that you're focused more on becomes the focus, right? So when there's something happening or you need support, it's very important that you follow your chain of command. I always tell my teachers, if, let's say for example, there's an issue happening with a particular student's behavior in your classroom, we have systems in place. If it's something that you feel like, oh no, this really needs attention, and regardless of what you perceive that others may think, but you believe this thing is very important, then what you do now, after you've gone through you've gone through the appropriate steps, follow with an email, copy your dean, your department head, your assistant principal, your principal. So there are multiple eyeballs on this particular thing. So somebody's going to hopefully say, hey, what's going on here? Because often what we do, we send a message to like, oh, I sent it to this person. And this person might read it and may want to do something about it, but they're caught up with something else. Or they may just be like, hey, I appreciate you sharing this with me, but I don't think this is supposed to be coming to me. And they might not respond to you. So you think, I already did my part. But that thing you sent out there stopped with that person. And then things might blow up and the question is going to come back to you. What did you do? Who did you tell? What was the communication? What was the connective tissue of correspondence between folks to make sure this is addressed? So it's very important. If there's an issue, there's something that you're not even sure of, it might be, listen, I love the whole notion of there's no stupid questions out there. There's no stupid inquiries, there's no stupid questions, there's no stupid anything. The thing is, you want to make sure you're covered, and not only you, but your team is covered as well. So being able to have a conversation or there's an issue, maybe copy folks, and you follow up with them as well, saying, hey, just want to touch base again. Where are we with this? Until you get a definitive response. Then, hopefully the folks who've taken the baton are running with it. But I say this because so often I have people who reach out to me and say, hey, this happened. And I think I might be in trouble because, I thought I spoke to and I thought they were going to do, but, so it's very important that you document. I like to use email chains. I like to send text messages, and all these things are evidence of communication, And sometimes you will drop the ball, But as soon as you notice the ball's been dropped, let somebody know that, hey, this happened over here, or I thought I did this over here, or this might have transpired. Because at the end of the day, we're all human. We will all make mistakes. But you also want to minimize those mistakes by making sure that if there's an issue, whether it's with a student, with a parent, or operationally, or anything that might come up, or regardless of what profession you're in, at a hospital, at a law firm, as an engineer, any of these things that you are communicating with the right people, sometimes it's not going to feel good. You're going to feel like, yo, I messed up, and people want to assume these things about me, or whatever the case may be. But the worst thing you can do is bury things or hide things. Because when things blow up, regardless of who else might have been involved or who might have dropped the ball, the person who's trying to bury and hide things tends to be the one who ends up getting scapegoated. I'm telling you, you do not want to be scapegoated. You do not want the fingers being pointed at you, and there's the perception of improprieties. So, in dealing with things in your school, in your workplace, wherever you may be, make sure you're managing up, making sure that all those who need to be aware are aware, and you're documenting these things and you're following up with them. Okay, don't just pass the baton and say, hey, I never had the baton, or I don't have the baton now, so I assume I never had the baton. No, you had a touch point with that situation. And as long as you had a touch point with that situation, you are involved in that situation until it is cleared up and there's a resolution. All right, y'all. Uche and Joe, Sneaker Principal, thank you for your time, and I'll talk to you soon. Be well.